everyone, Mitch coming in from the Command Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got a fun one for you with brand new Commander staples that are shockingly cheap right now. I'm talking about $1 or less. Of course, there's a link in the description below for you if you want to pick any of them up. And now with all that said, let's jump into them. First up, and with some incredible art, we've got Vibrant Cityscape. This one is just 15 cents right now, and let me tell you, there is a card out there that is the exact same that sees play in an absurd amount of decks. In fact, there are 2 or 3 cards that are basically the exact same thing as this one. A land that has tap, sacrifice this land, search your library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. I mean, literally an exact copy of Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. Meaning that you can basically have 4 technically with like Escape Tunnel in there too, right? Of this exact same card in your deck. And there's a reason why these cards see so much play and why they keep seeing so much play. Because, well, it is mana fixing for you. Also, like, landfall synergies are incredible with it too. And also, recursion synergies for lands are great with it as well. But yeah, basically being able to fix your mana and being like, okay, what do I need right now? Forest, mountain? No. Plains? No. Swamp? No. Island? Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, are you playing 5-color like me? Even if you're non-5-color, obviously. I mean, even if you're in 2-color, this is an amazing card. 1-color even sometimes, I guess, if you're in landfall. But still, pick it up now. It is a steal. Let's stick to another land with another new one. Oscorp Industries, a land that enters tapped. When it enters from a graveyard, you lose 2 life, and you can tap for 1 of 3 Grixis colors. It's got Mayhem, so again, you can play this card from your graveyard if you discarded it this turn. Timing rules still apply. Basically, this is one of the tri-lands kind of in a way, you know, like, okay, it enters tapped, it taps for 1 of 3 colors. But it's even better, obviously, because you can just directly play it from the graveyard if you discarded it this turn. So being able to go, okay, I loot, I rummage, I wheel, any of those types of effects essentially, or just a straight up like discard effect that benefits you in a different way, like, you know, the Phyrexian Imp dude that, you know, like, hey, discard a card, Scourge Familiar, I gain a mana, cool, that works too. That being said, yeah, basically if you are in these colors, yeah, you've got access to a ton of ways to loot, rummage, and wheel. And when you do so, now it's like an extra card drawn in a way, because you're like, okay, cool, yeah, all right, discard it, but it doesn't matter because I still get to play it. So yeah, it is a fantastic card. For Grixis strategies out there, pick it up. Next up, Urban Retreat. It's kind of an opposite land of the previous one, a land that enters tap to get tapped for any of Bant colors, and it says, pay 2, return a tap creature you control to its owner's hand, put this card from your hand on the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. So again, basically the exact opposite in a way. This one is one where, yeah, if you are in any kind of a strategy that likes, you know, let's say ETBs or LTBs or, I mean, just extra ramp with this, essentially, it is a fantastic way to do that. Let's say that you've got, like, you know, a little, 1 mana creature or whatnot. You're like, okay, yeah, play that. Sweet. All right, it's down. It's early. Great, I got it down there. Turn 2, you can actually ramp with this by actually just getting another land into play and then going, okay, yeah, swing with this creature or do whatever with this creature. If it's a land of War Elves, sure, tap for mana, get extra mana, whatever you're going to do with that. And then all of a sudden you can just cheat this land into play out of your hand as an extra land, which is pretty crazy. There are very few lands that help you ramp on their own, and this is one of them that does that. And of course, again, it does take advantage of decks that say, okay, do you want to take advantage of your LTBs or ETBs? Perfect. Make sure you do so they land like this. And there are a lot of great Blink decks, a lot of great ETB decks in these colors. Pick it up. Okay, I promise this episode isn't just all lands, okay? But this is the last land I'm going to bring up. I think so, at least. Daily Bugle Building. Very simple, very effective. It's a land that can tap for a colorless, or you can filter mana by paying 1 and tapping, add 1 of any color, or pay 1, tap, target ledger, creature gains menace until end of turn, activate only as a sorcery. So, yeah, being able to just have a land that, yes, it does not help you fix your mana inherently, but it does help you filter mana if you need it. And then also just says, hey, you know what? I'm going to make my most likely commander much more difficult to block by giving it menace. So my opponent has to dedicate at least 2 creatures to it, essentially. And yeah, that can be a great way to either get through on an opponent that only has 1 blocker up, essentially, right? Because it can't then block. or force them to block with multiple creatures and potentially take multiple creatures out in combat because of that. So it makes the decision point a lot harder. Or if you're playing in a legendary tribal type deck as well, like, hey, any of my creatures now can get menace. Awesome, amazing. It also really works really well with creatures that have, well, death touch, of course, because, yeah, then you're taking out 2 creatures automatically. It's a great card. Make sure you check it out for any kind of a deck that really wants to get your commander through and can, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put this in 5 color, I guess. It does help you filter your mana, but it is got a little slow for that. But again, like 3 color and less, maybe consider it for those types of decks where like, yeah, oh yeah, commander get that through, or like a legendary matters type strategy, pick it up. Next up, a brutal sorcery, especially against certain types of strategies out there. We've got Villainous Wrath, a sorcery for 5 mana in black. It says, target opponent loses life equal to the number of creatures they control, then destroy all creatures. Yeah, that's brutal. That's efficient. That's effective. This is a card where you go, hey, you know what? Oh, you're over there and you made all those squirrels, elves, whatever you made. You got all those tokens in play, the soldiers, whatever they are. Hey, you're going to lose like 20 life, and then let's wipe the board. Again, typically when it comes to a board wipe, the normal cost is 4, right? So just adding 1 extra cost to go, hey, you know what? Let's really punish that one player over there that, well, went a bit too wide, a bit too fast. And you know what? Not only are you losing your board, but you're losing most of your life, if not all your life. So you can definitely use this as a finisher, essentially, against certain decks out there. And of course, it also can be a game-changing play for you to just say, oh, you know what? Not only am I clearing the board, but I'm putting you at a position where you're probably about to lose the game. I'm taking your life total down a lot. So a great card for, well, I'd say, again, a good amount of decks out there that want to control the board, and also especially for maybe certain play groups where they have an insane amount of, well, again, creatures in play. Make sure you pick this up and ruin your opponent's day. On the opposite end of things, though, we've got Strength of Will, an instant for 2 mana in green. Until end of turn, target creature you control gains indestructible whenever this creature is dealt damage. Put that many counters on it. Yeah, being able to go, hey, you know what? You're sticking around. Typically, that cost is about 1 or 2 in certain circumstances as well. 2 if there's like an extra benefit to it, which this is an amazing extra benefit. This is one of those cards that actually could go infinite, too, in a turn. You could definitely have a creature that potentially could, like, deal damage to itself in some way. And then you can go, oh, okay, cool, counter damage, counter damage, counter damage, counter damage, counter damage, counter damage. Yeah, you can go infinite that, like a Boros Reckoner type play, basically. So you can definitely do something like that. That being said, outside of infinite shenanigans, yeah, this is just a solid card. Again, picture this with someone casting a Blasphemous Act, and you're like, okay, you cast a Blasphemous Act. All right, cool. Very common way to wipe the board in red. Yeah, absolutely. You paid 1 mana for that. You bet you feel real proud. Okay, Strength of Will. Yeah, okay. Most likely I'm going to save my commander, right? Okay, already has like 7 power. Now it's got 21 power. Or sorry, 20 power. Fine, it had 8 power. Whatever. It's got an insane amount of power now because it has gained 13 counters on it. So not only are you protecting your board position, but you are also increasing it in certain circumstances where you're like, yeah, my commander or whatever giant creature is now even more giant. Works really well in counter synergies as well, of course. A very, very solid card. Speaking of solid, though, we've got with great power, ... Aura for 4 mana in white. Enchant creature you control. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 for each Aura equipment attached to it. All damage dealt to use, dealt to enchant creature instead. This is an amazing card. This is a card where you say, hey, you know what? With the right strategy, with the right kind of commander, with the right kind of deck built around this, with this, you can have an incredible play that just goes, all right, this is the best thing on the board now. Again, if you're in any kind of a Voltron strategy, if you're in any kind of a strategy that focuses on aura or equipments, yeah, you're going to be like, all right, let's get a lot onto this creature, and then all of a sudden this thing is massive, absolutely insanely large. Again, +2/+2 for every single one attached to it. And then on top of that, this is basically a, hey, you know what, pariah. All right, yeah, everything hits me instead of you. Great. That being said, of course, there's kind of a cheat code to it where instead of it being like, okay, I'm putting my creature in a vulnerable position, which is still tough to take them out because they're going to be absolutely massive. If your creature that you have this attached to is like indestructible, or has protection from, creatures or whatnot. Or, there are different ways to prevent that damage, but yeah, indestructible is the easiest. Your life total is pretty safe right there, and this creature is absolutely massive. So this is a way to be a finisher, as well as a way to protect yourself and to mitigate things in the game. If your commander is indestructible, definitely consider this one. Next up, Shadow of the Goblin. Enchant for 2 mana in red. At the beginning of your first main phase, discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Whenever you play a land or cast spell from anywhere other than your hand, this enchantment deals 1 damage to each opponent. Now, here's the thing. There are plenty of decks out there that, the Prosper style decks are playing things from exile, or ones that play things from, your graveyard, or play things from, top of your deck. There's a lot of ways to play things from outside your hand. Cool. That's amazing. That's awesome. And this can deal a lot of damage throughout the game. And again, for a low-to-the-ground enchantment like this one, that is fantastic. Here's the thing, though. Even if this didn't have that second line of text, it would still see play because that first line is fantastic. I mean, early in the game, just get this down and all of a sudden you've got a lot of amazing card selection. Now, it is rummaging and not looting. It is discarding a card to draw a card versus disdrawing a card to discard a card. So you still lose the card out first and then hopefully draw something better. But yeah, you are kind of filtering out those kind of garbage cards in your hand that you don't need right now to potentially get better ones as well. Of course, you can take advantage of any discard triggers, any draw triggers as well. It's a great way, again, lower the ground, getting it down and saying, all right, I'm going to start filtering through my hand is a fantastic way to do that. And there are very few ways, very, very few ways to do this early on in the game like this. Again, 2 mana is super, super cheap. Pick this one up. Moving on, Chameleon, Master of Disguise. A fantastic clone. A 2/3 human shapeshifter villain for 4 mana in blue. You may have it enter as a copy of a creature you control, except its name is Chameleon, Master of Disguise. It's got Mayhem, though, for 3. So this is a specific clone only for your creatures, sure, but it's also one that can be quite cheap and one that, again, you can get value out of that Mayhem if you've got any kind of, again, we just talked about a rummaging effect, any kind of rummaging, any kind of looting, etc., etc., etc. You've got lots of ways, essentially, to go, hey, you know what? I'm just going to get basically an extra card out of this entire thing, basically, and I'm going to pay 3 mana, and I'm going to clone any of my creatures. So, again, it's basically extra card plus, clone interaction for just 3 mana. Pretty incredible. And finally, a Soul Sister, but okay, not quite a Soul Sister though, because, well, it only affects your creatures. Aunt May, a 0/2 human citizen for a single white mana. Whenever the creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. It's a spider, get a counter on it. Yeah, okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be just for spider decks, and that is where I think some players are going to get caught up with this card, where sometimes if a card has more text on it, players play it less. Well, I read the whole thing, and well, I'm not playing a spider deck, so I shouldn't play this one. No, ignore that part. If this literally didn't have that part on it, you'd probably see more play because, yeah, it's just basically another, again, Soul Sister type card, but Soul Sister is technically the Soul Sisters. Yeah, they actually count your opponent's creatures as well, obviously, so you gain even more life from that, but still that doesn't mean that these are bad cards because they only count your creatures, because if you are in a life gain strategy and you want those repeat life gain effects, these are fantastic ones to do that. And this is a low-the-ground creature that, well, you get out on turn 1 and all of a sudden you just start gaining a ton of life. So, yeah, any kind of life gain strategy, any kind of a strategy that cares about a lot of instances of life gain, any kind of strategy that likes to have a lot of creatures come into play, any kind of a strategy that likes to have, well, maybe mass blink in life gain, pick it up. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Make sure you comment below with your thoughts on this one. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.